UFC 304, Leon Edwards versus Belal Muhammad 2 goes down in a couple weeks in Manchester, England on July 27th. And this card is massively underrated. It is massively underappreciated. And I cannot wait for UFC 304. But it's flying under the radar. Leon Edwards, Belal Muhammad, neither one really has a crazy personality or going to drum up any drama to promote a fight. But in terms of great matchups, elite versus the elite, number one contender, the true number one contender fighting for a title, which seemed like the UFC was really going away from. This fight is amazing. This card is amazing. The co-main event's amazing. The entire pay-per-view main card is amazing. And it's flying under the radar. People are acting like it's a bad card. So I wanted to make a video discussing the pay-per-view main card and how excited I am for UFC 304. Let's jump right into it. One thing I will say, it sucks for the UK fans who are going to attend live because it is in the wee hours of the morning. You know, it's going to be 12 p.m. Eastern time when the main event starts. So I don't know exactly what time that will be in London, England or Manchester, England. But that is unfortunate. But for me personally, they're pandering to the North American audience. I prefer not having the fight card on during the middle of the day. So I'm happy that it's on. But I do feel bad for the fans. But that's really the only complaint you can make about this card. And you're only making that complaint if you're attending live. But let's start off. Let's look at the main card. Let's go through the main card. We're going to go through these fights one by one here in a second. But Leon Edwards, Belal Muhammad 2 for the welterweight title. Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blaydes for the interim heavyweight title. Bob Green versus Paddy Pimblett. I'm not calling him King Green. Muhammad Mokev versus Manel Kape. And Arnold Allen versus Giga Chikadze. That card is absolutely incredible. Absolutely stacked with elite fighter after elite fighter after elite fighter. Now, we're going to go through those fights one by one here in a second. But the prelims aren't bad either. Just to highlight a couple. Nathaniel Wood, Daniel Pineda is a good fight. Molly McCann's always exciting. Okay, so there's that. And this is a decently fun matchup. And then also, Christian Leroy Duncan versus Robert Brechek. I'm really looking forward to that matchup as well. Christian Leroy Duncan's always fun to watch. So the prelims are really solid. It's nothing crazy, but I think they are really solid prelims. But where this card really looks good is when you start getting to that main card. Now, they may change the bout order here, but we're just going to go off the order they currently have on the website. So let's start off with this banger featherweight matchup. Arnold Allen versus Giga Chikadze. This is a banger. You have Arnold Allen ranked number 6, Giga Chikadze ranked number 10. And I know Arnold Allen's coming off, I believe, 2 losses. But look who he lost to. Movsar Evloev, who's undefeated in the title discussion right now, and Max Holloway, who's next up to fight for a title. So there's no shame in that. Arnold Allen's still 30 years old. A win here over Giga Chikadze puts him right in position to be like maybe 1 or 2 fights away from a title shot. I know the division's kind of logjam right now. You have Ilya Topuria, you have Max Holloway, you have Volkanovski, you have Movsar ahead of him. But to be honest, Arnold Allen's from the UK. He might get some of that Dana White privilege. He gets a big win here, and then one other win. He's in really good positioning in the featherweight division. And for Giga Chikadze, he was hyped up at one point. Then he lost. He kind of got exposed against Calvin Kattar. Sat out for a bit after that. Came back against Alex Caceres. Got a win there. He needs a win over a top 10 ranked opponent to put him in a good position because he's 35 years old. So this is do or die for Giga Chikadze. And just as far as the matchup and their skills, both these guys are elite. Arnold Allen's super well-rounded. Giga Chikadze has incredible kickboxing. We don't know how good his cardio truly is. It didn't look great against Calvin Kattar, but we see how good Calvin Kattar is, especially with pressure and cardio. And this is going to be a very interesting fight. That's going to tell us a lot about Giga Chikadze. If he can't get by Arnold Allen, he'll never be in the title picture. A lot of people already don't think he'll ever be in the title picture. But I think if he strings a couple wins together, he can get up there. He can get close to a potential title shot. But this is do or die for Giga Chikadze. And I think it'll be primarily a striking match. I think this fight will play out. I think it'll be exciting. You know, Arnold Allen versus Movsar Evloev, Dana White was smoking crack. That fight was super exciting. And I think this fight will be pretty exciting. I think Arnold Allen will most likely choose to stand with Giga Chikadze. And Chikadze has excellent kickboxing. And I'm very excited to see this fight. Cannot wait for this matchup. Next fight on the card, we have Muhammad Mokev versus Manel Kape. I think Mokev is ranked number 6. Manel Kape is ranked number 8, if I'm not mistaken. Let's go back and look. Yes, number 6 and number 8. This has title implications all over it. Title implications all over this fight. Muhammad Mokev undefeated. I know he hasn't had the best performances. You know, his fight against Alex Perez, he didn't look the best. And then some of his other fights, he's kind of saved the performance with like a 3rd round finish. But this is the toughest test of his career, in my opinion. Manel Kape is a very tough test. And if Mokev can't get a takedown, he's in for a long night. Now, for Kape, I'm just worried about him showing up. He's pulled out of his last 2 fights. He's complained about people pulling out of fights with him. He's complained and whatnot, but now he's pulled out of his last 2 fights. I don't know if he can still make weight. He's fumbled time and time again. He was in positioning to potentially get a title shot. But the winner of this fight is in position to get a flyweight title shot. I know basically we have Taishiro Taira, and then we have Kai Asakura, who's most likely fighting Pantoja later this year. Pantoja kind of hinted at that during UFC 303, I believe, media week. Or fight week. So he's probably going to be ahead of him. But next in line is going to be Mokev or Kape. Or I guess Taishiro Taira could potentially, be in the mix as well. Or you could have the winner of this fight, Taira, for #1 contender. The flyweight division is wide open. I know Moreno could come back and string 1 or 2 wins together, and UFC probably give him a title shot. But this is a very interesting fight, and especially considering Mokev's 23 years old. He's so young. But, he said I think at one point he said he wanted to be the youngest champ. That's not going to happen now. But he's 23. He could still get to a title rather quickly. He can still get to a title, in his early 20s, which is a feat in itself. And for Manel Kape, he's 30 years old. So while he's not particularly old, he's got a couple years left to make that title run. But it's now or never. Will he get out-grappled by Mokev? Will he get submitted by Mokev? I don't know, but this is a great matchup. We're going to find out a lot about both guys. We're going to find out how good is Mokev really. Because the win over Perez didn't win a lot of people over. It kind of looked bad when he was shooting for desperation takedowns, but he did win. And now he's fighting Manel Kape, who has nasty striking, good finishing ability, and good takedown defense, but has been out-grappled in the past. Absolutely love this flyweight matchup. Cannot wait for this fight. Next fight on the card. We have Bob Green versus Paddy Pimblett. Another excellent fight. I cannot wait for this fight. This is Paddy Pimblett's opportunity to get into the top 15. Bobby Green's currently ranked number 15. And Paddy Pimblett, he's been one of those guys that's kind of been hyped up by the UFC. And he's got the whole UK fan base behind him. But he's not looked that good. He didn't even look good against the dead corpse of Tony Ferguson. He got a robbery win against Jarrett Gordon. And now he's fighting Bobby Green, who is coming off an absolute decimation of Jim Miller. I know he got destroyed by Jalen Turner, but Jalen Turner would destroy Paddy Pimblett most likely. I don't know. His heart looks like it's gone at this point. But this is a good matchup, man. This is a great matchup for Paddy Pimblett coming into the lightweight division. Bobby Green or Bob Green doesn't have the best takedown defense, doesn't have the best wrestling. Paddy Pimblett's kind of big for lightweight, has some decent grappling, has some good kicks. And we're going to find out how good Paddy Pimblett is. Just like I said about Mokev, this is the toughest test of his career. This is undoubtedly the toughest test of Paddy Pimblett's career. He's not fought anyone near this caliber, and a lot of the lower level guys that he's fought have been tough tests for him. He's gotten rocked. He got rocked against Luigi Vengermini. He's got rocked in multiple fights that were supposed to be layups for him. So he's finally getting a tough test. He's on a huge pay-per-view card. He's going to have the hometown crowd behind him, and he's taking on Bob Green, who has really good striking, super tricky too. He keeps his hands very low, and what does Paddy Pimblett do? He gets clipped on the chin every single fight. So this is a very compelling matchup. This is the perfect, really, to open the pay-per-view card, in my opinion. I don't know if they'll shift this around. But I can't wait to see how Paddy Pimblett looks against Bobby Green. And for Bobby Green, how does he look? He can beat up Jim Miller, who's on his way out, at UFC 300, put an absolute beating on him. But now, here's his opportunity to prove he could still hang in the top 15, because if not, Paddy Pimblett's going to replace him in the top 15. So I'm very intrigued in this matchup. It's a very tough fight to pick, and those are the fights that I absolutely love the most. Cannot wait for Bob Green versus Paddy Pimblett. Next fight on the card, the co-main event. I love this fight, to be quite honest. And the main and co-main have some parallels. Tom Aspinall, Curtis Blaydes 2, interim heavyweight title fight. They fought not that long ago. They fought a couple years ago. It wasn't, super recent. And Tom's only loss in the UFC was against Curtis Blaydes, but it happened via injury. And it happened in like the first 30 seconds of the fight. So it's one of those matchups where it happened in literally 15 seconds. It happened 15 seconds into the fight back in 2022. And we didn't really get a lot out of the fight. We don't know. You can say Curtis Blaydes won, fair enough, but we didn't get to see the fight play out enough. Like, it's not like Curtis Blaydes was winning and then Tom Aspinall got injured. So this is Tom Aspinall's opportunity to right the wrong, prove that he's really better than Curtis Blaydes, and also seal up a massive fight in his next fight, because the stakes couldn't be higher for Tom Aspinall. If he loses this fight, he loses an opportunity to fight John Jones. He loses an opportunity to potentially fight Alex Pereira, and he's screwed. He's absolutely screwed. There's no doubt the UFC wants him to win this fight. They want him to win because he's from the UK. And Curtis Blaydes is no easy matchup. I know Curtis Blaydes didn't look the greatest against Jailton Almeida, but he still got the job done. And he finished Jailton Almeida, who's an absolute savage. And I know people hate him because he's boring, but the way he was ragged on Curtis Blaydes was insanity. But Tom Aspinall, super well-rounded, has nasty power, coming off that KO win against Sergey Pavlovich on short notice to win the interim title. And if John Jones does fight Stipe Miocic later this year and decides he wants to stick around, if Tom Aspinall starches out Curtis Blaydes, the fight only gets bigger. It only gets bigger. But if he loses, it's catastrophic. It's absolutely catastrophic, because not only does he lose the John Jones fight, he loses the potential to become undisputed champion without even having to fight again. Because if he beats Curtis Blaydes and John Jones or Stipe retires after their title fight in November, guess who's going to be elevated to the undisputed UFC champion? Tom Aspinall. And then once he's elevated, he'll be able to defend that undisputed title, maybe against Alex Pereira, who's coming off a win over Magomed Ankalaev in a hypothetical scenario. Either way, it would be a mega fight for him. He's getting pay-per-view points. So this is massive. And for Curtis Blaydes, this is a bit of a gift. He's on a one-fight winning streak. He doesn't really deserve this shot. But they want to keep Tom Aspinall busy, which, shout out to Tom Aspinall. Absolutely love it when fighters want to stay active. He wants to stay active. He's fighting Curtis Blaydes. He wants to get that win back. Absolutely love this matchup. And stylistically, both guys are massive heavyweights. Curtis Blaydes' striking has improved. His fight IQ isn't great. He has good wrestling. But Tom Aspinall, super well-rounded, super athletic, kind of like a newer breed of heavyweight. And he can knock you out with any shot. I mean, look what he did to Sergey Pavlovich on short notice. Absolutely incredible KO. I think he's gotten a bit overrated over it. But if he goes out there and let's say he starches out Curtis Blaydes, the fight against John Jones just got bigger. Imagine he gets on the microphone afterwards. It says, John Jones, Stipe Miocic, I want to fight you. I want to fight the winner of that fight. Or he just says, John Jones, stop running from me. That'll get the fan base riled up. That'll make the fight even bigger. And I think he could actually coax John Jones into a fight. Because a lot of people, I know they say John Jones, they think John Jones is ducking him, and it does come off like that. And I really think John Jones is super prideful, that if we keep hammering it home, I've been hammering it home on my channel, if we hammer it home that we want John Jones, Tom Aspinall, we hammer it home that people think Tom Aspinall can beat Jones, I think Jones will stick around. Unless he feels like, you know what, I've had too much time off, I've been injured, I didn't look good against Stipe, I want to retire. Unless that's the case, I think we can get John Jones versus Tom Aspinall. Imagine that as a heavyweight title unification bout in 2025. Would be absolutely incredible. And for Curtis Blaydes, he has to win here. I don't think he's, I guess the heavyweight division's trash, so he could get another title shot. But this is kind of must win for him. He's getting a gifted title shot against a guy he already has a win over. It's massive stakes, mainly for Tom Aspinall, but also for Curtis Blaydes. Now, time to talk about the main event. We have Leon Edwards versus Belal Muhammad 2. Absolutely love this matchup. Love this matchup. And as I hinted at in the beginning, Leon Edwards doesn't have a crazy personality. You know, his entire personality is headshot dead. Or don't let him bully you, son. We have Belal Muhammad. Doesn't have a crazy personality. You know, a lot of people really don't like Belal Muhammad. This was the fight to make. This was undoubtedly a welterweight matchup that should have been made over a year ago. It's disgusting and despicable that Belal Muhammad had to sit around for a year and a half to get his rightfully earned title shot. He's on what, a 12-fight unbeaten streak? He had the no contest against Leon Edwards. People act like it was an utter domination. Leon Edwards was winning, don't get me wrong. But if you look back at that fight, and by the way, that fight was so long ago, it was back in 2021. The first round, Leon Edwards won the first round. By no means was it dominant, but he clearly won the first round. Landed a couple hard shots. Round two, Belal gets poked immediately, and Leon was poking him in the first round too. He gets poked badly, the fight doesn't continue. People are using a fight from 3 years ago to say, oh, Belal's not going to be competitive. Belal has no chance. But not only was Belal poked multiple times in that fight, he took that fight on like a month's notice. It was originally supposed to be Leon Edwards, Khamzat Chimaev. People forgot. So he stepped in. He didn't even have a fight scheduled. He stepped in on like a month's notice, maybe even 3 weeks notice, fought Leon Edwards, and got eye poked to death in a fight that we didn't even get to see play out. And what is Belal Muhammad's biggest advantage against Leon Edwards, at least in my opinion? It's cardio. And he only had 2 rounds against Leon Edwards in the first fight. So I can't wait to see this fight play out. Do I think Leon Edwards has probably an overall skill advantage? Probably. The takedown defense is short up. The striking's always looked incredible and super technical. The footwork is great. But guess what? Belal Muhammad knows. Look, I'm 36 years old. I had to scratch and claw my way to a title shot. This is the only opportunity I'm ever going to get. I have to give it my all. And he's going to go out there and he's actually going to fight. Unlike somebody like Colby Covington, who was given a handout title shot and showed up and absolutely shit his bed and then cried robbery afterwards. Belal's not going to do that. He's going to go out there and he will take a punch to land a punch. He will try to walk Leon Edwards down. He will try to dictate the pace and he will try to win this fight. And Leon Edwards, not only has Belal Muhammad got a lot better since the first fight, Leon Edwards has gotten so much better. His takedown defense has improved. His footwork has improved. His striking has improved. His heart even has improved. Look at him pulling off that KO win against Kamaru Usman when he's getting dominated in the fight. So this main event is an absolute banger, and it's for the welterweight title. It doesn't get any bigger than an undisputed UFC title, and the welterweight division is really starting to heat up because you have Shavkat Rakhmonov, you have Jack Della Maddalena, you have Ian Machado Gary all waiting in the wings. I can't wait. I hope this welterweight division gets a little bit more active. I'm tired of guys fighting once or twice a year. If Belal Muhammad wins that title, I think he'll be a little bit more active. Hopefully Leon Edwards, he's wanted to be more active, but kind of situational stuff has kind of caused him to sit out longer than he wanted to. But I absolutely cannot wait for this fight. Both guys have improved so much since their first fight, and you can throw their first fight out the window. Because again, Belal took it on short notice and it ended in eye pokes in the second round. We didn't get to see the fight play out at all. So this main event's incredible. This card is incredible. I cannot wait for UFC 304. And I just wanted to make a video about it because it's flying so much under the radar. Not a lot of people are talking about it. And I am genuinely more pumped. People are going to call me crazy. People are going to say contrarian. I am genuinely more pumped for UFC 304 than I was for 303 in either of its iterations. Whether it was Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler, Jamal Hill versus Khalil Roundtree, or the new card that we end up getting. I am more excited for UFC 304 in Manchester, England. Leon Edwards, Belal Muhammad 2, Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blaydes 2. Both of those matchups, rematches, where the first fight really didn't tell us a whole lot because one ends in eye pokes, no contest. The other ends in an injury, TKO via injury. So we didn't really get to see the fight play out. Cannot wait for UFC 304. Let me know what you guys think about 304 down in the comments. Am I overhyping it? Do you see what I see? Is it flying under the radar? Is it super underrated? Let me know. Like the video, share the video, and thank you so much for watching.